So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to moderate this panel of experts and true HR professionals discussing a topic, Back to the Future, Global HR 2.0, the dialogue of shaping tomorrow's workforce dynamics. Our panelists have already been introduced due to the time constraints. We'll not be once again introducing you all, but let's straight away begin with our discussion, right? So, the first quick thoughts, a minute from each one of you. What does it strike you when we talk about, back to the future?
Saiboan, and may you live long and prosper. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. When you talk of back to the future, as far as I'm concerned, in an HR forum here, it's all about the principles, the practices, and the beliefs that we have had over the years. And how do we take that forward into the future? How do we reassess them to see what's going to be, still valid, and how do we reshape it?
Thank you, Michelle. So if we move on to Marvin, what are your quick thoughts, please?
Absolutely. First of all, good day to everybody. I was a child when the Back to the Future, the movie was shown. I hope many of you also remember. But in terms of maybe in HR field, we're talking about sustainable growth in the HR field for quite some time, and then suddenly the pandemic happened. So I think it's also talking about, we've been planning before the pandemic, and now this is a good time to revisit that. What had been happening, what are changes that had been, implemented, and the impact of those things has been changed. So I think that's
wonderful thoughts, Marvin. And if we go with Syed, please.
Thank you. So, Back to the Future, a classic theme, and very precisely, I would like to say that we should always remember the past, enjoy the present, and embrace the future. So we don't know what is ahead for us in the future. So we should always be opening our arms and embrace it gracefully. Thank you.
Thank you. And with you, Emmanuel.
Hi. Back to the Future. The pandemic has brought us to the present. Right now, Back to the Future is about the discussion on accelerating our transcendence and looking forward to the changes of our future of work. So that for me is a very interesting topic.
Thank you, Emmanuel. And Madam Suchitra,
yeah.
your quick thoughts.
Yeah. So just adding on to what my fellow panelists have told. So the expectations of employees today is like HR is not just managing the performance or the compensation and benefits, but it's to manage their careers, their aspirations, their ambitions and growth. So whatever strategy we had last year may not be relevant today because the workforce complexity has been changing because of multi-generations, cultures, etc. So it's important for us to keep looking at our strategies, review them, and then get them updated on a real-time basis to attract and retain the talent in today's market.
Thank you, Ms. Suchitra. With that first quick understanding, let us go into some specific questions to discuss. So, Marvin, if I may start with you, please. So, Marvin, can you share your understanding of workforce dynamics based on your experiences? And how is it, impacting the future of work?
I think it's quite important to put into context, especially here in Asia. I've worked in the multinational companies in the past in Japan and also in Canada and the US. And I think the differences in terms of how the workplace has really dramatically changed and how it is being affected by technology. I actually teach now in the university artificial intelligence and business analytics. So in terms of the workplace that we have at the moment, I'm sure many of you in the organizations are thinking about, what's happening in terms of HR? Are we going to be replaced by artificial intelligence? But at the same time, we are going back to the idea of the traditional ideas of HR, the functions of recruitment and talent acquisition and development. And many of the strategies that are mentioned earlier today as well is that, what seems to be very important, and it seems that there are three more important things that we can cover in terms of the shaping of HR at the moment. And I think that's going to be happening quite sometime in the future as well. And number one would be definitely flexibility and automation. This is something that is inevitable. Many of us are already doing a lot of online recruitment and training and e-learning and even blended facilities in our organization. The second would be is definitely having the collective intelligence. Our people are already saying, what's going to happen? So, hybrid workplaces right now and working from home. I know many of you are still working on site and still trying to push away from that. But the third thing would be is also understanding, what's next. So maybe the mode of our HR at the moment will be more in technology, but actually the importance of embracing technology now in the workforce dynamics is really embracing and trying to claw back the time to focus on people development and interaction. I always say that the first letter in HR is about humans. Yep. So the human interaction is what we wanted to focus on, clawing back the time to really engage our employees and also talk amongst ourselves, what's important and what will make our employees become successful at an individual level.
Thank you, Mervyn. I think those 3 points that you shared are key, definitely. When we look at how HR has to plan, has to progress with the current scenarios that are changing as well, and that's where we are looking forward. Michelle, based on what Mervyn has just shared, of course, he touched upon the HR part of it, the people and culture part of it in terms of how it is impacting. So if I may ask you, apart from these, what else do you think would be shaping the future of work as we may be envisaging today?
I think diversity, inclusion, all these concepts have become far more prevalent now, and we have been more aware of it than we have ever been before. So I think that is a huge part of our future. And recent studies have shown that sustainability is also one of those great things that's falling onto the lap of HR. In addition to that, we also have PR, and corporate communications and, becoming almost like the corporate brand ambassador for the company. So these are things that I see happening in the future. And also, more importantly, the fact that many of the leaders say that, I think up to 60% as per a PwC article that I read a couple of days ago, that CEOs find that, corporate culture to be one of the key elements that prevent such change from actually taking place. And we are the custodian of corporate culture. So,
Thank you, Michelle, for those thoughts about corporate culture and sustainability as well, which is something which we cannot neglect because that's the future as well. So if I go to the next corner there, Madam Suchitra, although we discussed, and I would like to know from you, do you think an HR or a management strategy would be required talking about future of work? If yes, why do you think it's required? Because everything that we do, you cannot do it alone. I mean, HR cannot function alone, right? So it has to be linked to the corporate strategy, right? So your thoughts, please.
Of course, yes. And in case if you have looked at the evolution of HR partnership in the organizations, earlier it was like maybe a recruitment or to a certain extent, maybe the top level HR might be involved in the boardroom decisions. But now if you look at it, I think all the HR business partners have an equal seat at the table where they're involved in decision making. So let's say if a project needs 30 resources, it's not just about, okay, recruitment team, you hire 30 resources. It's about understanding the current talent available, their aspirations, what are their growth paths, how many people we can cross-skill or upskill, and then deploy to the project accordingly. Because if you look at today's talent, as I was mentioning earlier, more ambitious, a lot of aspirations, and retaining talent also has become a challenge for the HR these days. Because when I was conducting exit interviews, employees say, okay, why are you leaving? Everything is fine, but I think I've reached a saturation point. Saturation point in 2 years? Yes. So what is the solution for it? Like encourage employees to, pick up roles across the functions, across geographies within your organization. So retaining the talent rather than losing to your competitors. So whenever we have these discussions with the business, it's always important that we assess the current talent and then see how we can grow and develop them rather than hiring externally. I think that's something which is important.
Thank you, Ma'am Suchitra. I think adding to what you have just said, 2 years itself is a long duration when we talk about millennials and the people getting into the workforce today, right? But an important thought that you shared.
Last point, sorry, I just missed. I think we should be hiring people for their skill set, the learning agility they bring in rather than hiring them for their experience. So this is what I was having my last recent conversation with the manager who was rejecting the resume saying that, okay, this person doesn't have a relevant experience. Yeah. I said, hire a person who has learning agility, try it out. They may add a lot of value to the organization.
Yeah. I think that's a big mistake that managers do. When they look at resumes and they pick people, okay, this person has worked for 6 months, jumped another company 8 months, jumped another company 6 months, I do not trust this profile. It's a big mistake because there could be various reasons until and unless you have really not probed into why this person would have moved different companies. Maybe that's a catch that you may not, you may probably miss on hiring a good talent who has good aptitude for development. Thank you for that. Now, Emmanuel, your chance. So based on what ma'am has just shared, what kind of strategies do you think that management and HR people managers would need to build on to be ready for the future?
All right, let's talk HR strategy. And I think the line between what is business strategy and what is HR strategy is already very thin. You talk of business strategy, you're talking about the people strategy that will enable that strategy to be a reality, right? So more and more, we HR are not becoming HRs anymore. We're becoming business people with particular focus on the people side of doing business. So when it comes to understanding how our HR programs address the business challenges, it is very important for us to use our HR hat to address very obvious business challenges. In my example, in the retail industry, the challenge has always been efficiency. And efficiency for HR is not simply cutting heads, but doing more with less. And I think we have to understand the importance of manpower planning and our HR value proposition to address those recurring themes that we have to face as we run the businesses. So again, I'm a fan of Dave Ulrich. HR is not just for HR. We exist because we exist at the pleasure of the business. Thank you, Roshan.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you. Good thoughts shared by you in terms of managing, and of course, but HR can't walk alone, as we always say, and we always believe in that, right? I think in future as well, whether it is technology change, whether it is, you use the word efficiency, it's not about cutting heads, but how same or lesser number of people can be more productive in what they are doing matters. I think that's where the efficiency KPIs are coming in place into measuring performance as well. So Syed, we move from strategy to something very common that people discuss these days across the world and within our organizations. And you're seeing the paradigm shift between how we work, right? Work for the future, we don't know whether this work is going to be in offices, whether it is going to be done from home, how it is going to be, isn't it? So what are your thoughts when we discuss remote work, flexible work, work from home, and so many other things that are happening today?
Well, fortunately or unfortunately, COVID has taught us this work from home method, okay, at least in this region. So,
yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, just hold the mic.
So, like from my experience, what I can share, I work for the largest e-commerce platform in Bangladesh, named Daraz Bangladesh Limited. It's a part of Alibaba Group, China. So basically, after COVID or during COVID, so we have introduced this work from home facility. I would not say it as a facility, but rather it's a business need at that moment and also till now. And in the future, of course, this is something that we cannot avoid. I'm also, I mean, personally, I am more interested to work in the office because of, a lot of challenges we face while working from home. I mean, all of you may have seen a viral video of a news presenter that he was being broadcasted, and suddenly his child, a toddler, came from behind, opened the door, and the caregiver was also running behind that kid. So at Daraz, basically, we introduced Shift A and Shift B model. So this is one. Second, for the future, like from last June, we have started working from office for 4 days. Okay, as we all know that world is more shifting towards a 4 work day a week. Some of the developed countries have already introduced it. Some of the renowned companies have already introduced it. So from last June, we have started this 4 days work week at our office. And Friday, we kept it as work from home. And trust me, and this is a fact as well, like the biggest campaign of ours is the November's 11. We call it 11/11 campaign. So even working 4 days in a week, we have achieved the biggest milestone of that particular days, which was 1 million sales of that single day. So this is possible even if you work from home, as long as you deliver the promise. So that's what I think. The future is within ourselves and in our minds. So if we are sincere, we can work from anywhere.
Thank you, Syed. I think that's a good thought. If I can also add to what you have just shared, I think within our organization as well, in Europe and in other countries, there are synergies and there's a lot of cost saving.
Yeah.
I think COVID taught us that we can work remotely. In parts of Europe, people spend only 3 days per month in the office, right? And the office has turned into co-working space rather than an office space. So you
True.
book a space that you want to come, there's a timetable that is set. And the companies have, I mean, including ours, we have done away with a lot of office space and reduce our costs. Is
Yep.
it good? Yes. Is it efficient? It is proving to be efficient, and that's something that we are trying to replicate within our organization to other spheres as well. So we have last 5 minutes to go. So let's go back to each one of you very quickly. Half a minute to tell me what are the skill sets. What, according to you, is one skill set that you need to have, or that HRs, probably professionals, need to focus on to be prepared for future of work? Starting with you, Madam Suchitra.
I would say technology enablement, because I think technology is getting into every space, whether it is HR, finance, marketing, or whatever. So I think making our people technology ready, technology able is something that is that we are looking forward for.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
There's a trend from being traditional HR to strategic, and to now what I think is agile HR. So for HR practitioners, agility is the name of the game. How you're able to adapt to the changes in the work environment and prepare yourself for the future.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Syed?
For me, the skill set would be, adaptability. So if we are adaptable enough, then we can manage and we can learn things quickly. And that will eventually help the organization in any way.
Thank you, Syed. Marvin?
Actually, I read the one article from the World Economic Forum, and they mentioned actually a sense of belonging in terms of HR. But I think the skill set that is required at the moment is really on business partnering. Just like what Eman mentioned, especially in the space of globalization, there's a lot of different things that's being merged and acquired in terms of the businesses, and it could be two different industries. So the capability to understand what the business is all about, and the HR will be able to provide that service in terms of how people can become successful, and at the same time we can upskill what is required of them, rather than going to the traditional point of just training them, having the core competency, and then we'll do the day-to-day. But understanding what the business is all about and being accountable for it, I think that's a very good route where the HR should come to.
Thank you, Marvin. And finally, Michelle, with you, please.
I think I couldn't agree with all of you more in what you just shared with us. And I would like to build on something that Payal, you shared with us just a while ago. I think the biggest thing that we need to learn how to do is to win the leadership game all right, in the boardroom, secure our place, and get our voice going. I think if we can do that, we can do anything.
Thank you, Michelle. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we come to the end of our panel discussion. But our takeaway is, of course, skills, being future ready, strategy aligned with the business, people management, work from home, sustainability, efficiency. These are the themes that have come up. Of course, as a panel before, when we discussed, we also spoke about AI. I think that's very important. Of course, we didn't, because of time, we are not discussing at the moment. But there is another fantastic panel discussion that's happening later, which is focusing on AI. So I would be looking forward to that to understand what the panelists would have to share about AI and the future. So panelists, thank you very much, Michelle, Marvin, Syed, Emmanuel, and Madam Suchitra, for sharing your thoughts. And any questions from any of our guests here? Any participants, any questions?
We can take 1-2 questions. If any one of you, yes, please.
Yes. I have a gentleman there, please.
Please give a mic. Kindly introduce yourself and ask the question.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Bijan Gimire, and I represent Global IME Bank from Nepal, Kathmandu. So I was hearing the conversation between Suchitra ma'am, and she was telling that while hiring, we should be going more for learning agility rather than the experience. So my question here is when you go through a resume of a candidate, and when a candidate walks through my door saying that okay, I have got this many number of years of experience, I can just I can identify that this guy is so much experience. But how do you identify whether he has got that learning agility or not? So that's my question.
Yes, please.
So when you have conversations with the candidates, right, I mean, what are the skills that they have learned in the past few years? If you look through the resume, if they've been working for different organizations, maybe working in different domains, that talks about the learning agility, right? Let's say if there is an IT resource, maybe working on a Java, and then moved on to SAP or something, or started working for a banking domain, and then worked for a hospital domain or a pharma. So you see a learning agility. So when you talk to employees, experience, as you said, by looking into the resume, you can make out, but of course, you might also be knowing that there are fake resume with fake experience details. But learning agility is something that you can assess when talking to the candidate, and that's where the expertise of the HR comes into picture, to assess the candidates.
If I can take a jab of that. I'm just going to mention that especially the companies I've worked for are very technologically advanced. So we're actually using AI for recruitment. We never talk to anybody in the applicants that we talk. So we get around 500 to 1,000 CVs, and that's going to be quite difficult for an HR to go through. So what we do in the AI capabilities that we look out for specific word keys. So these are core competencies that is based out of the job description, a specific, either it's accounting or payroll, whatever. And then we're looking for specific keywords. I know it's going to be controversial to many because AI is going to be just looking at what about this person? Maybe this has a very good capability, or this one has a better chance because they work with a big company. But I think when I was working for a Canadian company, what they told me is that that doesn't matter because the mere fact that you're looking for another job, there's something that is ticking inside in them that they wanted to move on to a better job. So what we're looking at really is the competencies that will make them successful, especially for those particular positions or particular job levels we're looking at.
Thank you so much. I think we have, friends, another very important panel discussion. So let's give again loud applause to all the panelists.